are continuing to see the Bitcoin pump now into 43,000, in fact 43,111. The question on everyone's mind is, why were you so late? No, that's not the question on everyone's mind. The question on everyone's mind is whether this pump is going to continue or whether we're going to get some kind of pullback. And we're going to look into all of the technicals and fundamentals to tell you whether we think this pump is going to continue or whether this was just a dead cat bounce. So it's going to be a massive, massive, massive show. Also, is it safe to actually start buying now? I mean, is it actually the time to start buying? We're going to cover all of that today, right here on the show. It's going to be a big one. Yo, Banter fan. Today is the day that you want to be getting up. Today is the day that you want to be getting up, and that is because we've just broken through 43,000 once again, and it looks like this little run is continuing. Wow. So, Banter fam, if you are new to the channel, well, welcome. Subscribe to our channel, like our videos. This is the stickiest and most loyal crypto community in the world. And if you've just joined us, usually we are here on time, but today we've been having technical issues, lots of technical issues. In fact, we still have some technical issues, but we're going to try and do the show for you guys with the technical issues. Hopefully it's all gonna work, and we are going to be able to get a show in for you guys. If you are new to the channel, just remember that we have changed our times. In fact, we are adding in a fourth show, and so we've changed our time. So I want to just quickly go and show you guys what the new times are for shows. We've now got 4 shows a day, every single day. That's in our quest to bring you guys 24/7, 365 credible streaming crypto content. The idea is that no matter where you are in the world, 24 hours a day, you guys will have streaming crypto content from a credible source all the time, and you guys will be able to switch on your internet and just be able to get content any time of the day or night. From tomorrow, and I'm just trying to find the tweet. There it is. I've got the tweet for you guys. From tomorrow, this is how the show times work. The idea is to bring you guys everything you need. So we're going to start off with a DeFi show in the morning. That starts off at 1 a.m. EST. Then 4 hours later, we're going to have a show with Sheldon. That's going to be the charting show. And then 4 hours later, there's going to be a fundamental show. And then like 4.5 hours later, we've got hustle show. So you really now on Crypto Banter, you guys have got everything. You've got DeFi, you've got charting, you've got technicals, and you've got fundamentals. And that is in bringing you guys in bringing you guys everything that you need to know to make decisions in this crypto market. So you can expect to see more and more programming as we get more and more themes in crypto. In fact, the next show that we're looking to introduce for you guys is a show about NFT collecting. So just if you want to be collecting JPEGs, then, well, what JPEG should you be collecting? I don't know if it's a good idea to be collecting JPEGs, but hey, if you want to do it, do it. Who am I to tell you not to do it? Who am I to tell you not to do it? So from tomorrow, remember, these are the new show times. Look at them again. Make sure that you know what time the show time is. The real changes are that we got the show early in the morning and that Sheldon show's going 1 hour back. Hustle show stays the same. My show stays exactly the same. Yeah, so that's pretty much what happens from tomorrow. But that's tomorrow. Let's talk about today. Let's get into the big news. Yeah, everyone's saying Miles' show is going to be off the scale. I know it's going to be off the scale. I'm going to actually join him for his first show tomorrow to introduce him to the Banter fan family. So excited to have him on board. If you're not making money in DeFi, then you're not doing what you should be doing with your crypto. You're not doing what you should be doing with your crypto. That's the big thing. But anyway, that's tomorrow's show. Let's talk about today. Let's talk about the Bitcoin price. Here we are, 43,379. The pump is continuing and the short squeeze is continuing. Now, if you remember on Friday, when we started our Friday show, we had a very long stream on Friday, but when we did the Friday show, that is exactly when Bitcoin was breaking out of this 38,000, 39,000. You'll remember that we all got together, we said a few prayers, we said some market.
里，三风王怎么能要开富，别富俺家将亲，一阵狂风么三个浪，雪高还怎么山呀弯。
No one believed us. No one believed us that those prayers would work, and those prayers, yeah, they did actually work. And we started to get the breakout. And in fact, the breakout became so unbelievable that even the veterans in the space didn't believe that we were actually getting this breakout. I don't know if you remember on Friday, but we spoke about people who said, if we get to 41,000, then this whole thing is confirmed. And then, we got through a few levels, and then even the biggest veterans in the space started to move the goalposts. So people like Will Clemente even said, diagonal lines are pretty much a meme. Key resistance is still 41K. Close above that, and we can start eyeing confluence of yearly open and STH realized price around 47,000, one step at a time. Well, look, the good news is that now all those levels are pretty much smashed. The big reason why people didn't believe that this was the case is because for months, Bitcoin was tracking the NASDAQ completely. And then all of a sudden, we got this breakout where Bitcoin broke away from the NASDAQ and said, look, I've been following you for too long, and now it's time for me to go my own way. And that happened just after the job numbers came out on Friday. So the job numbers come out on Friday. The job numbers are way better than we expected. In other words, more people got jobs than we expected. And then Bitcoin decouples from the NASDAQ. It's quite weird because you'd expect if the job numbers are better than expected, that means a much, much, much higher chance that Powell's going to increase interest rates. And straight after that, we saw that the probability of Powell increasing interest rates by more than 25 basis points actually went up almost exponentially. So you got good job numbers. The probability that Powell's going to increase interest rates in March by more than 25 basis points, in fact, 50 basis points, goes up exponentially. And then over here, you see that there's a break in the one-day correlation to the NASDAQ. And then surprise, surprise, 2 hours later, the NASDAQ actually starts following Bitcoin. So it's almost like Bitcoin is starting to lead the tech cycle. It's almost like Bitcoin is the one that led. Bitcoin is the one that crashed first. Then the NASDAQ crashed. Bitcoin is the one that is starting to recover first. And now the NASDAQ is starting to follow Bitcoin. And as it started to recover, what you saw is you started seeing shorts being liquidated. So first you had like this big bounce, which was the biggest bounce that we've seen in about a year. In fact, in just less than a year, 361 days, that was the biggest bounce that we've ever seen. And then what you saw is you started to see a whole lot of shorts starting to get liquidated. And the thing with short liquidations is that it's almost like long liquidations. What happens is it goes slowly, 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 and then very quickly. Because like long liquidations, if the price goes down a little bit, some people get liquidated. And then the price goes down a little bit more people get liquidated. But if the price goes down and down and down, and you start getting this momentum on the way down, then a whole lot of the longs are liquidated. And the same thing starts happening with the shorts. So the shorts start to get liquidated over the weekend. We saw this. Shorts start to get liquidated on the weekend. And then just when we thought that the short squeeze or the weekend pump was done, as the NASDAQ futures opened last night, bang, we see another move up in the Bitcoin price. And that was a whole lot of shorters probably covering their shorts before we get into a big week on the markets. So a lot of the shorters said, look, it's getting very painful. It's getting very, very, very painful. What if this week is another good week? We can't handle another good week. And so they started to say, okay, look, let's close out some of our short positions. And we saw that because as the NASDAQ futures opened last night, that's when we started to see Bitcoin pumping again. And now, as the NASDAQ opened again today, what did we see? We saw another pump in the Bitcoin price. There we go. So as the NASDAQ opened today, we saw another pump in the Bitcoin price. So it does show you that Bitcoin is starting to move ahead of the US stock markets, and that we're in almost the beginning. I'm going to say this very clearly. It's the beginning of a short squeeze. We're not yet seeing the short squeeze. As soon as we start seeing big moves up, the shorts are really going to start crumbling, and then we may start seeing a cascade of short liquidations. And if we do see that, we could get some big candles. We could get some 3, 4, $5,000 candles, and that's pretty much what we can expect. And as I said, this week is actually quite a big week. It's a big week in markets, and the reason why it's a big week is because this week is actually the CPI week. So this week on Thursday at 1:30 EST, we are getting the CPI numbers being published, and the market has an expectation. The market has an expectation. Believe it or not, the market's expectation is that the CPI will be 7.3%. which is 0.3% higher than it was last time. So the market is expecting the CPI to continue to increase, and that year-on-year inflation will actually be 7.3%. Now remember, if we come in anywhere under those expectations, you can expect the market to rally. If we come in above those expectations, then we can expect the markets to come down. And the reason for that is because that would give Powell more of a green light to pull up the brakes in March and to increase the interest rates by more than 0.25%. So ideally, what we're looking for on the CPI numbers is we're looking for a miss, and we're looking for a miss probably to the downward side. We probably want a miss down to the downward side. We don't want the inflation numbers to be above expectations. We probably want a miss to the downward side. If we get a miss to the downward side, then it means that the markets can continue to rally, and that maybe we'll still see a 25 basis point increase in March, which is, I think, what most of the market are starting to price in. But all in all, it is feeling, I must say, it is feeling a little bit more bullish. And you can see that in the traditional markets, people are starting to run away from fixed income. People are starting to run away from bonds. People are starting to run away from bonds. People are starting to run away from fixed income stuff, and they're pricing in this interest rate hike. And you can see that the US Treasury yield rate, the 10-year Treasury yield rate, is now at almost 2%. So we kept fearing that it would go to 2%, and it's edging all the way up to 2%, which is kind of saying, look, it is absolutely inevitable now that we're getting an interest rate increase in the US. And now let's get on to business as usual. And that's exactly what's happening. It's pretty much business as usual now that the market has priced in the interest rate hikes. We get the inflation numbers this week. If the inflation numbers are below expectation, we're getting 0.25% in March. If they're above expectation, closer to 0.5% in March. That's pretty much what's in the balance here. That's it. That's pretty much what's in the balance here. And I think the market's priced it. The market's already priced all of this in. I think if we see a more aggressive interest rate hike, then maybe that's not all priced in, but certainly an interest rate price hike is priced in at the moment. And you can kind of see it. You can see in the on-chain metrics, if you look at the on-chain metrics, you can see that everything has started to change. So the first thing is the reserves are moving sideways. So Bitcoin reserves on exchanges, reserve exchanges are moving sideways, as you can see over here. And you've got the open interest is rising and funding rates are turning positive, which means that the market is actually starting to turn a lot more bullish. It's almost like we've turned this corner and the market is starting to get a lot more bullish. So much so that stable coins are actually also now starting to get deployed. This is quite an interesting thing, because for a while now, what we've seen is an increase in stable coins, people going more into stables. And now what you can see is that for the first time, we're actually seeing that people are starting to move outside of stables, out of stables, and starting to deploy it. But we only just started. We only just started in the middle. We're at the beginning of the stablecoin deployment. It's like the beginning of the stablecoin deployment. That's where we are at the moment. Especially USDC reserves, they are now changing trend from upwards to downwards. So if you look at the USDC reserves, we are getting reserves going from upwards, collecting USDC, bang, downwards, which means people are comfortable to deploy. People are riding this bounce. We are also, if you look here, the Real PlanC. I love this guy who's the Real PlanC, because now that Plan B has kind of become, I think Plan B may have been in. I must be careful what I say, because he'll ban me again. He'll just unfollow me. He did that thing for me on Twitter last time. He completely unfollowed me. He blocked me. He says the Real PlanC. The Real PlanC says we are close to confirming the final step. We've had a capitulation. So this is where we capitulated. This is where we capitulated last time. This was the capitulation this time. We did have a failed recovery. So we did have a failed recovery over here. Then we had a bottom. We found a bottom, and you can see we found a bottom over here. And now the only thing that we need is a reversal to be confirmed. And what are the charts saying about a reversal to be confirmed? Sheldon said earlier that if you want a confirmation that the reversal is confirmed, we kind of need a close above the 44,000. So we need a close above this 44,000 level, because that would print a higher high. And if we get that higher high, then that is confirmation for the chartists that we've got this higher high. And if we've got this higher high, then that could be one of the signs that this reversal is actually real. But let's not speculate. Let's actually get TechDev, because TechDev has a great thesis about it. Let's get TechDev with us. TechDev, what would it take to convince you that we've broken this downtrend and we're on up and up?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me back, Rand. Appreciate it. Good to be here on a green pumping day. Glad everyone is in some better spirits.
We love the green pumping day.
we like the pumping.
Right? It looks like this pump isn't ending.
Yeah, it's continuing. So, you know what, I put out a tweet a few days ago where I was mentioning sort of a checklist of things that I was keeping an eye on that we would want to sort of progress through to get some more confirmation that this is more of a longer term trend reversal. I mean, as far as what we can see over the next few months, I think it's still a question in my mind. I'm still watching to see whether this correction that I think we've been in for a year turns into somewhat of a triangular correction where we have another leg up maybe to the 50s area and then come back down to complete out a sideways triangle correction that, of course, would freak folks out, and we'd see head and shoulders being drawn. So that's still a possibility, whether or not we go straight through up to the right. So we can get into that. So what I'm looking at for some confirmation that this is a legitimate longer term trend reversal, and I do lean towards the side of it being that. The first things that we actually checked off yesterday were on the weekly time frame. So here I show two weekly charts. On the left here is an indicator. It's a nice indicator suite. It's by Trading Alpha. They have a Twitter account at Trading Alpha. This is just showing reversal bars, as they call them, on the weekly time frame. So these blue here, R's here, are reversal bars, and it has to do just with the candlestick pattern relative to the one before it. But what happens is when you get these long wicks down, these bullish hammer type candles that flags as a reversal bar, and then to confirm it, you need to close the next weekly candle higher than that. And we did that. So this is now a confirmed reversal bar. If you look back over history, we've actually only had 4 of those in the last 3 years. Now, it's not to say I can't do one of these, but this is a good sign to me. This is indicating that this might have legs. Then we have what a lot of folks have posted, these Heikin Ashi candles. These are a Japanese candlestick that, again, is more of a trend-based candle. This flipped green yesterday with a close. Would be great to see the second one flip green, but you can see.
Tell me more about this Heikin Ashi candle, because everyone's referencing candle.
Right, everyone's talking about it now. It's become common. I mean, there's a formula for how the color of the candle is determined. It's based on the candle close position relative to the midpoint of the one before it. So it's not just a conventional candle where if it closes higher than it opened, it's green. It has to actually be at a significant level relative to the one before it. That's why it's more of a trend-based candlestick. But you can see when it turns green. I mean, this one up here is probably the only anomaly right before the fall in May, where we were only green for one candle, and then we flip back red. Just about everywhere else, you get a pretty consistent string of an uptrend once you flip green. So this was encouraging to see. That was one of the things on my list.
I don't know if you follow TED Talks Macro, but he says shorting Bitcoin after printing its first bullish Heikin Ashi candle since November is probably not a great way to start your week.
Yeah. I saw that tweet, and I would have to agree with it. I mean, the risk reward here for shorting versus long, in my opinion, is very different. It's much more asymmetric to the upside. And I know Ben Cohen into Cryptoverse has been talking about the Heikin Ashis for a while too. So he was glad to see it flip green. No, it is a good sign. On the daily time frame, this is another thing that we did. We flipped the super trend green. So we closed above this 43 or 42.3 level yesterday, which flipped this trend indicator green. And you can see this one here again. once it flips green, it stayed green for quite some time. So this was another real positive thing to see for me. If we come back down, so this is the 20 EMA that we finally closed above. I mean, we closed above it up here in this fake out, but we never held it as support. So if we do come back down and get a pullback, this is right here now at 40K. So it would be great to see that flip into support. That would be something I'd look at for more confirmation if we do come back down. But yeah, I mean, then the next real big things are going to be these weekly MAs. So getting back above the 50, which is at 48 now, and then back above the 20, which is at 51, would be real big. I mean, this would really put a nail in the coffin, I think, of any of the bear theses out there, because in past bear markets, once we've fallen below 50, we never reclaimed it until months and months later. So yeah, getting a weekly close above 58 would be huge. Well, holding it as support would be even bigger. But
okay.
Yeah, those would kind of be the real line in the sand for me. But I mean, I'm confident that we've got a ways to go in this cycle.
Okay, so now the big question, because what you're saying is great, and we I think we buy into the same thesis that we're looking for certain things that will tell us whether this breakout is legitimate or whether it's not legitimate. The big question is, you got viewers sitting on the show are saying, look, I didn't buy the bottom. Mm-hmm. So I didn't buy the bottom. I was too shit scared. I never bought the bottom. I didn't deploy capital on the way down. And now you guys are telling me that you think that this may be a real breakout. Question is whether you would be deploying capital now or whether you should be waiting on the sidelines and, I don't know, waiting for some kind of reversal or waiting for some kind of pullback before you deploy capital. How would you deploy capital now if you had capital and you needed to deploy it?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I never, anything we'll of course always say is always our own opinion based on our own strategy. I'm never going to tell anyone precisely where I think they should enter, because I don't know what their strategy is. I don't know what their goals are, what their investment thesis is, where they, what their targets are for their own capital. So it really depends on the type of trader / investor you are. If you're a long-term investor, if you're someone who wants to buy crypto now because you think this year, 5 years, 10 years from now, it's going to go higher, then I would be pretty comfortable deploying some capital here. I would have been more comfortable deploying at 32, but if you think it's going higher, buy and wait, as Scott Milker likes to say. I had a great interview the other day I saw where he said that thing that was that's the right mindset. If you're in this for the long term, the risk reward right now is very asymmetric to the upside. You should be just fine, if you're a long-term holder, if you're a long-term investor. If you're trading and you're looking to get out at swing levels, we may not come back down for a significant retest. I know a lot of people are eyeing the 39.40 level. We might come back down and test that. That's where that 20 EMA is. So it may not be the best time, I guess, in my opinion. I'm not much of a trader to jump into a long right now. Generally, you want to wait for some sort of a pullback and confirm support, because even if that does happen a little bit higher up and you get a slightly higher entry, it's an informed entry, and it's based on a clear strategy, and you see clear evidence of support and resumption. So it's all about flipping percentage gains with a trade. So even if you get a slightly higher entry, but it's confirmed and there's less, you have a clear stop loss defined, you have a clear risk defined. It's not a bad thing to wait for some support. But again, it's all based on whether you're trading this thing or you're looking to invest for the longer term.
Yeah, for me, I think what I was looking for some kind of trend reversal, because otherwise it does feel like you're catching a falling knife. There's that old adage that says never try and catch a falling knife. And until we had some kind of trend reversal, we were catching a falling knife. And now the trend is actually broken. And now I think it's probably safe to start DCAing into the market. Specifically, what I'm looking at, or where I'm looking for confirmation, is a close above. So a close above somewhere around here, which would give it the first high close. And I think that number is about, 43.5, somewhere around there. If we get a daily close around that 43.5, then we pretty much got the first higher half in a long time. Right. Yeah, no, that would be a big step. All righty. So where can the community find you for your most updated updates, or your most live updates? What's the best place to find you? I know you do a newsletter. Where else can we find you? Twitter, the newsletter. Right. Where else can people find Mr. Detective?
Yeah, Twitter is my main platform. That's where I post updates on what I see daily, both shorter and longer term, and then the newsletter. So through my profile, you can subscribe to the newsletter. You can become a member, and then you get 2 issues a week. There's a smaller update on Wednesdays that covers just a quick Bitcoin update on what the indicators look like, and especially now we're going to be focusing on these trend reversal confirmations. And then in the full issues, I cover an update on my macro picture. There's a top indicator that's printed in there that I think will become more useful in the months ahead. And then we also cover the altcoin market and altcoin targets and so on. So yeah, Twitter is where I am, techdev_52.
Is this recovery going to be led by alts, or is it going to be led by Bitcoin? Well, what's your feeling? I mean, I know Bitcoin's broken out first. Right now, if you had $100 to invest, where would you put it? Alts or Bitcoin?
That's a really good question. I mean, I'm of the belief that we have been correcting in a sideways manner, and something that I think will be shown to be a running flat as long as we hold that 33 as the lows, just like we were consolidating for months back over here in this big impulse as I see it here. So I think that we still have another impulse to go. I do not think this was an impulsive wave down here up that peaked at 39K. I think this was part of this running correction that we've been in with declining volume and other on-chain signals. So I think we're going to see Bitcoin run hard personally. And I think we're going to see dominance pump a little bit with it as it usually does. So USD value alts I think will do okay, but they'll probably bleed a bit in Bitcoin value. But at a certain point then, as we usually see, as we near the top of that impulse especially, and then in the retrace after, then we should really see some rotation into the alts. Not a bad time to get into alts, in my opinion, especially if you're looking to hold to the end of the cycle. But my thesis is that we're going to see Bitcoin lead the show a little bit here for a few months, and then alts are really going to have their moment.
Which gives us a lot of time to actually be getting into the alts. So if you do believe this Bitcoin bounce, you think to yourself, okay, I want to start positioning myself. Well, then now it's probably a good time to start positioning yourself into alts. That's pretty much how the theory goes.
Right.
Yeah. All right, buddy. We'll see you again soon. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Much love from the Banter fam.
Same to you. Thank you.
So you see, it all comes down to how long you expect to be holding. That's how long you expect to be holding. If you're a trader and you're trading in and out, well, this is, then you should be trading on Sheldon's Coinpanel charts, because Sheldon's a trader. He's trading in and out and in and out and in and out all the time. But for me, it's a much bigger picture. It's a much bigger picture. And like TechDev says, if you're in this for the long haul, then these opportunities, whether you're buying at 35,000 or 40,000, it's still in the same range, or 38 and 43. It's still in the same range and inside the range of acceptable. And that's pretty much if you're looking at the big picture. And I saw this from Suzu this weekend. And I think this is probably a topic that we want to be discussing before we start talking about altcoins. But he says that my bull case for crypto has nothing to do with money printing or risk on and risk off, because that's all short-term stuff, and that's all going to pass. The bull case has to do with the great awakening of the sovereign individual and the understanding of the potential peer-to-peer distributed networks to shape the nature of reality. And that's the reality of why we're here. And it's similar to something that I tweeted over the weekend. I said, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, CNN, Spotify, GoFundMe, you're all being replaced soon. And this is, I think, the same kind of narrative that Suzu is actually running here. He's saying, look, just regardless of whether the Fed increases rates by 0.5, whether the NASDAQ cools down slightly and we have maybe not as good a year as we had last year, the bull case for crypto is around a much bigger awakening. Now, we've seen some of that awakening in Bitcoin. We've seen Bitcoin disrupting the money system and disrupting gold. But we're going to see a whole lot more disruption that's actually started to happen. So just like Bitcoin disrupted the traditional financial system, and if you look at Bitcoin today, you're talking about Bitcoin today is the number 9 biggest asset in the world. So it's the number 9 biggest asset in the world. Above it is Tesla. Above Tesla is silver, and then you're getting into the territory of Amazon, Alphabet, Saudi Aramco, Microsoft, Apple, and then you're pretty much getting into gold. And that's the same kind of disruption that is going to happen with the rest of crypto. So it's not really about whether you're buying it for the next month or not. If you're buying into this thesis, then you've just had a healthy dip. You're still 1/3 or 30% below the highs, and we've had some kind of a recovery, but not a full recovery. And that recovery certainly hasn't translated into the altcoins yet. So this may actually be a buying opportunity, but you got to believe this narrative that's actually playing out today. And you're seeing this narrative playing out in front of your eyes. You're seeing major shift to power to what Suzu's calling the sovereign individual. The sovereign individual, the individual that controls what he listens to or what she listens to, isn't censored, controls who you can pay, when you can pay, without having the bank stand in the middle. As Bitcoin disrupted the world, we're now going to get a major crypto disruption, because we are seeing the faults that are starting to surface with all these other platforms. We saw it this weekend on Spotify. So you saw artists trying to censor Joe Rogan on Spotify, and Spotify actually playing along. So Spotify is actually playing along with the sensationalism, and they're starting to remove a whole lot of Joe Rogan videos. Now, in my opinion, what's going on behind the scenes there is that Joe Rogan has got such tough restraints in his Spotify agreements that all he has to do is now become a puppy dog and say, yes, I'm sorry. Some people have called it the non-apology. Some people called it the non-apology. He keeps apologizing, but it's not a real apology. They call it a non-apology. That's what it is. And I think he's in a very tough situation, because I don't think that he can leave Spotify. I think if he leaves Spotify, even though they are censoring all his content, if he leaves Spotify, then I think that he's probably going to lose a lot of money. And I'm sure that there's a lot of restraints inside his agreement that would restrain him from doing any other podcasts or any other kind of streaming content. So I think he's now caught between a rock and a hard place, because he can't leave and they are censoring his content. Now, you can apologize as much as you want, but they've removed something like 80 or 90 or 100 videos. So what they're basically saying is, if we don't agree with your view, we're going to just remove you. And they're not the first people. Twitter. I mean, Twitter can deplatform you in a heartbeat. YouTube can deplatform you just because you're not driving the same narrative that they are agreeing with on COVID, for example. So, and the same thing with Facebook and their fact checkers, and the same thing with CNN. So you're seeing this massive revolution, and we've only seen one part of that revolution playing out. The only part of that decentralized revolution that we've seen playing out is the store of value part of that revolution, which is Bitcoin. And we're very early in the life cycle of Bitcoin's disruption, and already we are seeing that Bitcoin is the number 9 biggest asset in the world. So where are the real opportunities? Because Bitcoin is already the number 9 asset in the world. And I have no doubt that within a year, 2 years, 3 years, Bitcoin goes into the number 1 spot. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But the bigger opportunity actually is in crypto assets that are much lower down here. So if you scroll down and you go down here and you start saying, well, what are the crypto assets? And you see that Ethereum is down here. And Ethereum is in the 29th spot. And Ethereum, for me, is a proxy for altcoins and the altcoin disruption. Because I think when the market is valuing Ethereum, the market is actually valuing Ethereum as the platform that is not the store of value platform, but the platform that you can build all of this. So I think Ethereum is a proxy for Web3. And Ethereum is kind of in the 29th position and will probably start making its way up as this revolution continues. And that's why I think that right now, if you want to be getting into the market, I think a good way to be getting into the market is to be getting into Bitcoin. But I think if you're getting into Bitcoin, then you may be missing all the fun. If you're getting into Bitcoin, and even if you're getting into Ethereum, because we know that Ethereum is great, but there are probably much higher alpha players out there. And so that is what we're started to do here. What we're starting to work on to do for tomorrow, well, hopefully we can get it all done tomorrow, is we're starting to work on a shopping list for people to start buying, an altcoin shopping list for people to start buying. And we're following the same methodology that we always follow. Let me just zoom in for you guys so that you can have, so that you guys can see it. But effectively, we're following the same methodology that we always follow. What we've done first is we've kind of taken a look at our investable landscape. And what we're saying is we're looking at this investable landscape and we're saying, which tokens do we think that we can invest in? So we've taken in Bitcoin, Solana, Luna, Avalanche, Polkadot, Kusama, Phantom, Immutable X, and we've basically gone through all the layer ones, and we've gone through all the DEXs, and we've gone through DeFi, and we've gone through Web3, and we're starting to look at layer twos and stuff like that. And we're starting to filter them out by looking at the current price, the 90-day high, the percentage off the high, the percentage off the low. And using this methodology, we're going to build up a portfolio for you guys over the next couple of days. And we're not going to say, go in and buy these tokens now. We're going to make a list of tokens that we think you guys should be buying. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say, look, break your purchase up into 3 points. And these are the price targets for the 3 points. And then as much of that we can do, we'll actually do on our KuCoin portfolio so that you guys can actually trade on the KuCoin portfolios. If you didn't watch the show earlier, we realized that everybody's down. So everybody's down. There's no one who can tell you that they are currently up. In fact, I want to take you to my KuCoin portfolio, but let me log in so we don't have the same problem that we had on Sheldon's show, where Sheldon showed everyone his password. He did. He showed everyone his password, right? Hold on. Let me log in quickly for you guys. Let me see if I can find a 2FA here. Okay, so it's asking me to log in with chimneys and everything else. Okay, give me a second. And let me get a authenticator in. In fact, while I'm doing the authenticator, Carl, maybe you can just put the pre on. Maybe we'll be able to move the Bitcoin price. Okay.
三风往这么南要开湖边湖岸家将近，一阵狂风么三个浪，雪高还这么深，山摇弯。
Okay, almost in. KuCoin. Hopefully we're in now. Hopefully it's going to let us in. Come on, I have verified myself. Okay, now their page is unresponsive. Okay, let's try one more time. If it doesn't work, then I'll just walk you guys through it. Okay, so like we said earlier, we're all down. I mean, this account started at $50,000. This account now is at $37,674. I moved the Moon River price this morning. I shouldn't have because I wanted to buy some, but that's just the way it is. And the idea is to try and get this account way back above the 50,000 that we invested in. That's pretty much what we're trying to do on this KuCoin portfolio. So from tomorrow, we're going to start doing as many of these coins. So what we've done, you can see here, what we've done here is we have actually added a column in to say, is this thing actually listed on KuCoin? So can we actually make the trade on KuCoin if we want to make the trade? Can we actually make the trade on KuCoin? Yes or no? And that will give us an idea of whether people who can do it. So if you don't have a KuCoin account, get a KuCoin account. There's a description link below. And tomorrow we'll start doing all of that. What else? Is there anything else for today? No, nothing else for today. Sorry, we started late today. Oh, Hustle. We got the man Hustle, Mr. Hustle.
What's going on?
What's going on? I'm not used to having you so early in the morning, brother. I'm not used to having you so early in your morning.
Yeah, I know. I woke up to text messages from you guys at like 2 in the morning, and I was like, all right, I'll get back to him now.
So gaming and metaverse is leading this recovery, eh?
Definitely. I mean, we have a ton of coins like 30%, 50%. I mean, Gala, even a huge market cap, has gone from 18 cents just 2 weeks ago to 36 cents. I mean, it's already 100% gain in just a couple of weeks. So those rebounds on the gaming tokens are definitely the biggest rebounds.
Anything you'd be buying now without revealing too much?
Yeah, I'll say the normals because today's show, I'm going to kind of put together the ultimate gaming portfolio that you should have been kind of accumulating a list of over the time during this bear time. But I think Ultra hasn't really pumped yet.
Okay, don't give it all away. Don't give it all away. Don't give it all away. So,
I won't.
So today on the show, which is happening in what about
3 hours?
3 hours. Let's call it 3 hours and 10 minutes. Today on the show, which is happening in 3 hours and 10 minutes, we're talking about the recovery, and we're talking about which tokens you should be buying if you want to position yourself perfectly for this recovery.
Absolutely.
Holy shit. Do you believe this bounce, Hustle? Do you believe this bounce?
I think, we could see a little consolidation after this bounce, but yeah, let's hope it holds up for sure. Because if it does, then all these gaming coins are really going to shoot back up, as we're seeing in the market right now. And if Bitcoin keeps climbing, the gains are going to be aggressive on these gaming tokens.
All right, so guys, Hustle is live on Banter in 3 hours. If you miss it at your own peril. If you miss it, good luck to you guys. Miss gains. You're going to miss gains. I see Sheldino's just jumped in the back. Let's see if he's seeing anything interesting. Sheldino.
Yo, brother. What's happening? Is Bitcoin going to chase that 44K or what? I see
you tell me. That's what we got you for.
Oh. I was actually just spectating on the side, and then I saw Bitcoin started to pump off. Yeah, I can quickly show you guys if you want. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, so Bitcoin obviously has broken another short-term wedge now on the 1 hour, which was good. And now it's coming for the retest. So 44,500, brother. We want to reclaim that higher high. Confidence is coming in. We're getting great volume spikes at this point. Remember, it's not the buy signal now. We just want to confirm that we're buying on the next pullback. So we just want to see where we end up. And then after that, then we know to deploy. So I think the Banter fans learned not to chase pumps, but we just want to see where we're at and then get those lists ready. I think we need a proper list, Ran. I think we need a new list.
We're doing it tomorrow. We're doing it tomorrow. Tomorrow we're doing a proper list for the Banter fam.
Tomorrow I know what I can chart and what I can help with. And what I can help with.
Tomorrow shopping this day.
Awesome, brother.
Alrighty, guys. See you tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends. My hands still
Sheldon, can you give us your authentication? We can't get in. Oh, fuck. Dude. I think the whole world's sorted.
Sheldon.